2018 film Oh, sorry, alright. A 2019... Really? The New Mutants is a 2020... Oh, come on! The New Mutants is a film that takes place within the Fox X-Men universe, and I guess that it would have set up the new wave of mutants to take the spotlight after the release of Dark Phoenix, but then big old Disney swooped in and acquired Fox, so Disney were now kind of left with a film that they had no idea what to do with, and ended up having a total of 4 delays. So pretty much I'm going to run you through that so you can understand whether or not going through this palaver and waiting this long was even worth it.
And what can you tell us about the New Mutants?
Well, on July 10th of 2017, shooting under the codename Growing Pains began and then wrapped on the 16th of September 2017. However, the film that was shot was not Josh Boone's, the director's, original vision. A month before shooting, Fox had hired new writers to change the film by making it less of a horror and catering more to a slightly younger audience. So the film shot in those 2 months was a compromise met by Boone and Fox. A trailer then dropped a month later in October. The studio made the trailer focus more on the film's horror elements due to the commercial success of it at the time. This was a smart move as people were excited that the film seemed to be a horror movie opposed to another generic action comedy superhero flick. People were intrigued that this superhero film was going against the grain in an oversaturated market. This caught Fox's attention and therefore planned reshoots to make a film more akin to Boone's original idea. The release date ended up getting pushed back from April 13th of 2018 to February 22nd of 2019. The reason for the delay was not for reshoots, but instead to avoid overlapping markets with the release of Deadpool 2, as well as Dark Phoenix, which was initially set to come out in November of 2018. But the studio did realize that this would allow more time for reshoots, and so they scheduled some for mid-2018. Nothing was heard for a few months until it was pushed back yet again to August 2nd of 2019 due to the delay of Dark Phoenix from November 2018 to February of 2019. It then became apparent that, oh shit, these reshoots are going to be a lot bigger than we initially thought. They wanted to shoot over half of the movie again. Reshoots were then scheduled for September 2018, and then... silence. We didn't hear anything about New Mutants until a year later when, in an interview, Macy Williams, who plays Wolfbane in the film, said, "Who the fuck knows when that's gonna come out?" Not even the cast members were aware of what was going on anymore, as it became evident that those reshoots never even took place. The interview with Williams seemed to have worried executives into updating the release schedule, so now we were given a release date of April 3rd, 2020, with reshoots set to take place in late 2019. However, those reshoots never took place either. In early 2020, Boone said that the New Mutants was finally completed and ready to open on April 3rd. Boone felt that the cast looked too different to what they looked like when principal photography took place and feared that that would ruin the film, which is likely true, but also Disney clearly didn't want to fund reshoots for a film they didn't even make. So, there we go! The New Mutants was finally gonna come out and we would be able to finally see— oh, for fuck's sake! It was at this point that people believed the film was cursed. The universe just really didn't want the New Mutants to come out to the point that it made a new deadly disease in order to prevent people from seeing it. Right when we finally had a grasp on it, it was taken away from us. People were suspecting that Disney would make it go to streaming, but first of all, why would Disney do that if they can make some easy money off of a film they didn't even fund? And also, in the contract that Fox and Disney signed in the acquisition, apparently it was stated that the New Mutants had to have a theatrical release. Therefore, it would have been illegal for Disney to release it on Disney Plus or Hulu. But they own everything anyway, so it's not like they would have had to suffer any consequences. Anyway, in May, we got the 5th and final release date, August 28th of 2020. And, well, that day has passed. And I've seen it now. I've seen the New Mutants. And I'm gonna tell you if it was even worth all this time, trouble, and money. Hey! The fact that this isn't the original vision is pretty evident, as the film really didn't know what it wanted to be. The horror stuff never got full horror, the young adult stuff never got full young adult, and the superhero stuff never got full superhero. But it's kind of a point that it never got full superhero, which I like. But it just felt like the movie never got its foot off the ground, which is supported by its very anticlimactic ending. The film simply doesn't really have much of an effect on you. Everything just felt so incomplete. Yes, there's some shoddy CGI, but that's understandable and I can forgive that. It's the fact that there isn't really much of a conflict in the film, or at least an engaging one that went on to get developed. The best conflict in the script is the battle it was having with itself deciding what type of film to be. However, I will give it credit for being tonally fitting all throughout, despite one scene that felt quite out of place. Furthermore, the costume design was really basic. There was no deeper meaning to it other than, oh, she wears black because she's cool and edgy. However, I did like the outfits, I thought they were cool looking, there was just no artistic integrity sewn into them to reveal something about a character. Talking about the characters are heavily underdeveloped. I believe that may be due to how this was originally going to be a trilogy, but you can't defend a fault by saying that. A film should be its own separate entity that you can review with its own merits. This isn't a TV show where you review a whole season by itself, you're reviewing a single standalone episode. If you want to make a piece of art that takes place over a long time, then film isn't the best medium for that. There was just some stuff in this film that wasn't explained, and now that we never will see more of it down the line, it just now feels like a deficiency opposed to something to keep you watching the series. I'm a rather sizable fan of Anya Taylor-Joy, so perhaps I'm biased, but she by far gave the best performance in the film. She played her character really well, and I honestly would have preferred a film revolving around her that's from her perspective. And if magic ever makes her debut in the MCU, it sucks that Anya will likely not play her, but at least she'll be able to play other stuff and not be owned by Disney, I guess. It's just really bizarre how they made Danny the main character over her, because they decide to give magic more development and is therefore a more interesting character. There were layers to magic, whereas Danny was two-dimensional. The character felt quite stale. Blue Hunt's performance was pretty cringy and cliched, which could be because this was one of her first roles, but it's definitely due to some poor dialogue and feeble direction as well. It just felt like a very simple approach to the character. But I did like her relationship with Wolfsbane. There was a spark between Williams and Hunt, despite Williams also giving a pretty middling performance, yet again likely as she was disadvantaged by limited material. Heaton's character was likable, but he felt undermined by the three women and consequently didn't really have any room to shine. Also, relatively inconsistent accent, was it not? Roberto was just a bad character, period. I don't even want to talk about him. Then Alice Braga's character was virtually non-existent. The performance felt like it was a last-minute addition, as it was. Rosario Dawson was originally Reyes, but she dropped out and Braga swooped in at the last minute, and that's discernible. Once again, can't really blame her though. Nothing in this film is really refined. Ironically enough, this feels like the first draft of the film. I know it's only 90 minutes, but this film is well paced. There were points where it felt like essentially nothing was going on, yet I wasn't bored. But that may be due to the fact that I was just happy to actually be watching it. So, was it worth it in the end? I guess. When the trailer dropped, I wasn't excited for it at all, but with every delay, I got more excited for this film, and it was just such a fun journey to get here. Tuning into the Weekly Planet podcast every week to hear two 40-year-olds so confused about what the fuck was going on with this film was hilarious. Listening to the hell this film went through over the past couple of years was so fascinating, and the wonder and excitement that this film spawned was totally worth it. But was the final product worth it? Nah, not really. Yeah, this is a film where I'd say the lead up to it was better than the film itself. Just the cult status this film earned before even being released was so amusing, and while I did like the film, hearing about the several delays was more entertaining. Either way, you gotta feel sorry for Josh Boone though, like he did try. There is a film in here somewhere, and it's a shame it ended up being one of those farts where you clench your cheeks so no one hears it. Fox didn't want this film, and Disney definitely didn't. To be honest though, did anyone want this?